podcast with two guys in their 20s, giving their perspective on the games that we love and the story behind it all. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Moores. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. I'm so
You're
sorry.
you're laughing because I'm on the road. If you
Yeah,
guys don't
the
know.
dedication, man. I love the dedication. Podcast on the road, full scope in the road, man.
Yeah, we had a first with having Tommy on, and now we have a first on with this being on the road. So it's good.
We're just knocking milestones out the way, man. That's what we do.
Well, we have a lot of topics to get into today, as usual, and to start it off, the Raptors they had a tough loss, kind of a demoralizing loss against Cleveland. They had, I think, a lead up to much as 13, and the supporting cast for Cleveland they played really well. Smith had 20. I think that was the first player other than LeBron in this postseason on the Cleveland to have 20 points, and Tristan Thompson had 15 and 10, and it really seemed like they kind of caught life in the second quarter. And I think currently they're down 14 against Cleveland heading into the fourth. So with the kind of untimely mistakes they made late in the game and how they're doing right now, what are your thoughts on the late game issues?
To be honest, man, they don't finish like we said. The late ongoing issues is they don't rebound well in the second half, and if you allow Tristan Thompson to have average 10 rebounds in a playoff game or any game for that matter, that's your front guys. Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't just because they had issues. Maybe the guys that was on the Cavaliers are finally coming to their playoff selves. Like we said, we don't know who we're going to get out of J.R. Smith, Kevin Love, Cal Korver starting to shoot, get on fire more. J.R. Smith and Tristan Thompson is waking up. 15 points, 11 rebounds. This is the same Tristan Thomas who received that extension big money before he got the big money. The guy who was hungry in the rebound industry. So I don't know. It was more so of them just not making. They made bad plays. They made mistakes. They weren't rebounding as well as they did in the first half. And like you said,
right.
Cavaliers took off in the second quarter, but they still had them in a point where they could end the game. They only lost by 1 point. So they just minor mistakes, man. They shoot themselves in the foot. They don't finish. They don't finish. They don't have a bench. They
And the
don't
two Van Fleet threes that could have went down, and then
exactly that too.
DeRozan missed the putback, and Valanciunas. Valanciunas' expression after the game. I mean, after the regulation, it just seemed like the feeling everybody else had on the team. Because it felt like Cleveland going into overtime was like a win for them in and of itself.
Right.
And with Toronto and the second unit, do you feel as though because Anunoby kind of he played pretty decent defense versus LeBron? Did you feel as though it was with this team because you felt as though this team was? I feel as though was it your pick to go to the finals, Toronto?
I had them initially going to the
Initially?
finals. Yeah, but even in the playoffs, the series before, they didn't finish. They let them come back. They don't finish. And I think they do have. I mean, Cleveland Cavaliers are their like Achilles heel. They don't
Yeah,
finish against teams. I think they're afraid of LeBron, or they can't
I
stop
think so too.
LeBron. Yeah, I mean,
It,
like you
it
said,
may not be fear, but it's just like there's no like method of stopping him, and I think like that's kind of the biggest thing because Ananobi was played pretty good defense, but they still weren't able to find like a neutralizer to be able to you know at least find some semblance of being able to stop him, which I don't think many teams can, but especially for them since this was the culture reset and everything, it was almost positionally directed to try to finally get past them.
yeah. And if they don't get their act together, they won't pass them. And then you get players like I keep saying this, and it's reoccurring. If the players on the Cavaliers will step up and be the players that they can be, like J.R. Smith or Cal Korver, then these games, then we could say, okay, maybe this Cavaliers team can go to the finals and maybe even make a run to go to the NBA or the conference championship, and then make it to the finals. But
Yeah,
we don't know the
which
inconsistencies
didn't
of.
seem likely in the Indiana series.
Yeah, it didn't. It really didn't because LeBron really had to carry the team. And now I guess the players around him are realizing, okay, we have to be consistent. We have to be on fire fast. Or LeBron can't do this every series. He even said it, man, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Toronto. Can I go home? If a player says he wants to go home,
In the
that
first
means
round.
yes,
Yeah. I mean, that's
he's
come on.
seriously tired. He's drained. That's the first time he had to do that in a long time since before the old Cavaliers. You know, had to carry the entire team. So, man, if Cal Korver, if Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, they play to their best abilities, then they could beat people. They've shown that, but the minor mistakes by Toronto did, play Achilles heel, and like shots not going in at the tail, and they still had a chance to win. I mean,
Yeah.
they're matched up well, but it's a look at the draw.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely seems like one of those things where it kind of has been a reoccurring issue, and they're in a tough spot again in game two, and
Yeah,
it looks like they probably may lose that one as well. And so, going in a down a 0-2 hole, it's going to be really difficult if that's what the result is. Um, Steph Curry this past week, he came back um, off the bench, and if he's coming off the bench, that's the best bench player in the league. But
right.
he had a pretty phenomenal performance, 28 points in 27 minutes. And Durant didn't have didn't have quote unquote a great shooting night the first three quarters. In the fourth quarter, he kind of started to turn it around. But yeah, on just on 15 shots, finishing a ridiculous, I mean, an amazing plus 26 with a 5 point win versus New Orleans, and Draymond I think had 20 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, and how because we've talked about how Steph is kind of just a difference maker, a game changer. They're already a high powered offensive team without him, but with him, they're extremely formidable. What were your thoughts on his performance coming back?
I thought exactly he's going to do exactly what he did. And I knew he was going to have some rust, but it wasn't as much rust as I thought it was going to be. His knee didn't really bother him. He played 28 minutes, which is close to where he's used to playing 30 plus, 32, 33. Just depends on who they're playing and what style of play they want to play. But he did exactly what Steph Curry does every single time he steps on a hardwood. Two steals, plays great defense on the defensive side, and he shoots well. They run the screen better than any team in the NBA, even better than the Spurs. Even like no one compares to their screen game and what Steve Kerr implements in that offense every single time. It's so swift and clean that he gets open shots because of the screen plays, and he finds his open shots or whatever. Regardless, he went 5 from 10, but I thought that Steph Curry brings that extra oomph to them, and it made it seem like, okay, even if Kevin Durant had an off night, he didn't shoot well. Steph Curry shot well. Iguodala shot well. Draymond Green shot well. They have enough guys on the basketball team to sustain them. That's what I'm saying. It's just a cherry on the top. So they have a bench. They have guys coming off the bench that are pretty good who can do those things. Steph Curry will come back in the lineup again. I think it's game 3. Iguodala will go back to the bench, and life will be cherry on top. It'll be rainbows and butterflies for them. Man. I thought Steph Curry's game was
They're
just
looking
like,
like
okay,
they're looking like the Warriors again.
yeah, most definitely healthy. Everybody's healthy that I know of. They Clay's healthy, Draymond's healthy, he looks healthy. He's
Yeah,
healthy and arguing Ray John Rondo and getting in a
and
beef with
Charles
Charles
Barkley.
Barkley. Yeah. So I mean,
Well,
he seems like
what we really
normal
need
to
to do
everybody.
is what we really need to compare is which beef are you taking more seriously, Draymond and Charles Barkley, or Drake and Kendrick Perkins?
Oh my gosh, that all of them are juvenile and petty. Every last one of them. The comment that Charles Barkley said, "I wish somebody would like just punch him in the face or whatever." That's Charles Barkley trying to get ratings and just talking, loosely talking. And then Draymond's the type of guy he's gonna let anybody, step to him without anything being said. I think the Ray John Rondo and Draymond was just like, basketball. They arguing, like, bro, I can do this too. Like, just back to just friendly
Yeah,
arguing. Yeah, but the Drake and Perkins, I laugh
that was
hysterically. Like, it
strange.
was so we don't play that here. We don't play with his.
Yeah.
Don't make me laugh, man. We don't play that here. I never said that. I never said like Drake is. Oh my gosh, he's so Canadian, man. That is.
We don't do that here. We don't do that
We
here.
don't do that
There's no
here. You gotta
tolerance for
go
that.
somewhere that here, here, amen. Moving on.
Yeah.
Willers, you take the
But,
reins, Willers.
yeah, yeah.
Please.
But they shot 32% from three for most of the third quarter, and that was like at one point it was below 30%, and Durant and Thompson they combined for only three threes through the first three quarters. Thompson was 2 of 11 for three and 4 for 20 overall. But it really didn't matter when Steph was having the type of performance he did. And do you feel as though um, the energy level was just? It almost felt like if he wasn't there, they may have been in even more trouble than they were at with that game staying close.
Yeah, I believe so. I like you keep saying the same thing that either one of those guys can be like the difference maker. I think Steph, you convinced me that, and we talked about this, and I always
Right.
say I apologize, Wilson. Steph Curry is the difference maker on that basketball team. He's a different type of guy. He draws people in. They make plays, just for him, and they showed as soon as he got in the game, they screened him, and he got an open three. And that ignited. It's like, okay, now we're back. Now we got our star guy. We got the head honcho. Now we can get back in the swing of things. Yeah, it was maybe close, but they still can. They win. They win. They're going to make
Yeah.
it to the finals. They will win. They will win the finals. Not okay. Let me pump the brakes. They will win the conference championship. Then go to the finals. Let
I
me
mean, it
not. Let me
also
not
looks
get ahead of
likely that the
myself.
finals. I mean, well,
Uh,
I mean,
I
to
was.
me, yeah. I mean, it is going to take some time to kind of diagnose just kind of all the teams that will get to that point. But yeah, right now they look like they can make it back.
Yeah, I believe so. But I mean, yeah, I mean, if Steph Curry's shooting well, and then don't let Kevin Durant get on fire too. Both of those guys on fire, it's an abomination to any other team. Like
Yeah,
it's scary. It's really really scary. And don't let Draymond Green get on the fire. He's a sporadic shooter as well, but when he catch fire, he brings a different element. Now you have to play the cut lane slash lanes are open because Draymond's at the 3 point line. And then you have guys cut like it's so many things they can do in that offense and that scheme that Steve Kerr and those guys implement every single time they get on the court. It's
the
scary
ball is
playing against
always
them.
moving. It
Yeah,
never
they
sticks.
pass
It
well
never
that game
sticks.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
they
And
pass
they had, I
really,
think they
really
had
well.
36 assists overall for a team, and when they have 30 plus, they're having a really good night.
Yeah,
But with
unselfish
Draymond,
basketball.
I don't know if you noticed, whenever he hits open three, he's usually yelling at the opposing team and the bench saying guard. But I don't feel like the teams are ever gonna like close out on him more because I think they're content giving up that shot. Do you feel as though teams will are still content giving up that shot, but if he makes it, they'll just live with it?
Yeah, I think so because, like I said, he's a sporadic shooter. He's a spotty shooter, and but when he catches on fire, then you will have to man him up on the 3 point line, and that gives him room to pass it to the slant lane to either Steph or Kevin Durant in the post. It gives, like I said, it gives so many different uh, avenues for them to use. So if he starts making it just like Kevin Love, when Kevin Love started making 3 point shots, then you have to play him close. Then that gives you opportunity to swing the ball, and then guess what? Steph Curry is open for a 3 point shot. So
Yeah,
it's a different thing. They're gonna have to play. If he's on fire, they have to play him. They just can't give him that shot. But I also think they can live with that shot if he misses it or if he makes it. But then you have to adjust to the period. If he keeps making, you can't allow him just to shoot open. So you got to close out better.
yeah, definitely. The Sixers for most of the postseason have pretty much it's been smooth sailing. They had a short 5 game series win versus Miami, but Monday night they lost to Boston by 16. Terry Rozier, I believe, had 29. I think Jason Tatum
The
had 20. Was
Yeah,
it 20?
that's right.
Okay,
Yeah, you're right.
Jason
You're right.
Jason Tatum had 28. Boston overall they had 17 threes, and that's tied for the fourth most threes in a postseason game in just franchise history. Um, but in terms of just kind of how because Philly really struggled from the perimeter, five of 26,
Yeah.
and and Simmons and Embiid. I mean, Embiid had 31, Simmons had 17. But it almost felt as though when Simmons can't create offense away from the paint, they're going to kind of be in trouble because he's a non-shooter, and when he can't when they can throw a lot of bodies at him because Brad Stevens is a really good coach, phenomenal coach, and has a good defensive scheme. When that happens, there also seems to be a lot of stagnant things. And the last observation I'll make is when Aaron Baines was kind of baiting Embiid to the paint. It was just Embiid one-on-one, and he was kind of having his way, but the other shooters, they were just kind of just standing around because the offense wasn't moving. It kind of just slowed down with Embiid in the paint. So with all of those things and how Boston just had success from the perimeter and Rozier, what were your thoughts on the performance?
Philadelphia beat themselves. If you take the first 15, you miss 15 of your first 20 shots in the game, then that tells you what type of game it is. Maybe it's because you beat the Heat and you have an off and you're relaxing, you're chilling, you don't know what to expect because you're on this high that you ain't lose. You haven't lost since March. Now you're on this winning streak. It feels good. And then now you get hit in the mouth by a rookie team with one veteran player in Al Horford who scored 26 points, which is not no one's talking about because Al Horford, we talked about this last week, is like a quiet church mouse. So funny.
Wow.
But they beat themselves. Bede played a phenomenal game. You mentioned a great point with Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons has to be a shooter. He's a facilitator. He's a guy who can finish at the rim, but they're not afraid of your jump shot. You have to make them afraid of your jump shot. And I think that's one part of his game is his last year, his real rookie year. Rookie year.
Yeah.
He should have progressed in his shooting.
Yes, the Boston crowd is vicious. The Boston crowd is the Boston home crowd. They're so savvy. They're so savvy.
I love that moment, man. It's so legendary in that arena, man. And those fans give it to him because he's really not.
It's such a different atmosphere playing the Boston Garden. Like no matter if you're like quote unquote the better team in a playoff series, the playoff atmosphere in Boston, the Boston Garden in the postseason, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty electric.
Yeah, and they bring a different element. Maybe it rattles the other team, or it's just the atmosphere, like you said. It brings a different element. It brings like this boost for the Celtics because right now they're playing great without Kyrie Irving
and Gordon Hayward.
Yeah. But most notably
Kyrie.
Yeah, because Gordon only played a half a game.
Yeah.
Freak accident. But without Kyrie Irving, you're leading your number one scorer, the guy who they acquired for a reason in the offseason. You're beating people without him. With rookie guys, young guys who's coming in scoring, well, both from their league high 29, 28 points. I didn't foresee this. I thought the 76ers will whop because the process is almost complete. So it's a different element.
So I saw this as being a competitive series. I felt like it was going to be the series that would be more competitive compared to Milwaukee because their coaching in depth is at a premium. But you thought this was going to be a lopsided series?
I thought so because 76ers were playing great team basketball. The guys were on fire. The guys coming off the bench were on fire. Like they were playing good team basketball, and then Joel Embiid coming back was that extra spark that they needed to solidify their reign in the East. But now it seems like they weren't prepared. I don't think game 2 will be different because game 1 they definitely wasn't prepared. I think they were really sluggish. Joel Embiid even said that you have to be ready. NBA, you have to be ready. We weren't ready tonight. And it showed on the basketball court. First 15 shots of your 20 shots you miss. You're setting in tone for it. I mean, I believe in momentum. I believe in guys shifting the atmosphere of the game. But when you start that bad, it's hard to get off that slump, and it showed. And without Ben Simmons creating his own shots and the offense slowing down just to give Embiid the paint, then you have to switch up the scheme. And I think the first game it's a filler, but I believe second game should be different. I think they'll adjust well.
Yeah, hopefully. 6 days off. Yeah, hopefully 6 days off is a lot. And I'm not saying that's the reason why, but Brett Brown was even saying he was kind of a little concerned how would they respond to that much rest off. And then the seven games with Boston Milwaukee that extended it, so they got more rest.
Yep.
But one last thing I have to say, I'm a big JJ Redick fan. I
Yep.
say I'm a Duke fan, so he's one of my favorite Duke players. Also has a great podcast. So that's another high. I just have to plug
Right.
that too. But putting him on Jason Tatum, that that was a disaster. Like that is something that was just really baffling to me, because when you're dealing with that, it's almost like the Celtics were like, if you're going to have a shooter out here who really can't guard a young athletic rookie, then we're just going to expose it. And
Right.
it seemed like even with Al Horford that there were like mismatch issues. Last thing with this series, do you think the Celtics are exposing a lot of mismatch issues?
Yeah, JJ Redick cannot hold. JJ Redick is not a defensive player. He's never been a defensive player, even when he's at Duke. So he's a shooter. So you expect a shooter to get on an athletic guy who
Right.
has a vert. I think his vert's like 38 and above, and he create his own shots and he's quick, fast slasher. You expect I don't know how old JJ Redick is, but he's not that type of guy. I don't know who they put on him, but they have to adjust. Maybe they put Ben Simmons on him and put JJ on Marcus Smart, or whatever the case may be, or take JJ out of and put Bellinelli and see Bellinelli can hold him. I don't know what you do, but you can't do that.
To
That
be
was a
honest,
big
though, to, to,
mismatch.
to be honest though, that may be the one where they may not have an answer.
Just like
Like that's the one that Jason Tatum may be the one where I don't really know what their answer is, and it may be Ben Simmons, but that's the one that's kind of, it seems like they really were just kind of like grasping for straws, just saying like, what can we do to kind of slow him down somehow?
right. I mean, it's similar to the Celtics last year in the playoffs against LeBron.
Yeah,
They didn't have an answer. They were too big. But I don't know. You posed a good question. That's hard to say. I mean, it really
yeah,
is hard to say because he's a phenomenal basketball player. He's a mismatch of all those guys. You put Ben on him, and then I don't know if Ben can hold him. To
yeah.
be
That's the
honest,
thing.
wow.
So game two, is definitely going
Yep.
to be a telltale sign for how this series goes. The Utah Jazz, they don't have Ricky Rubio right now. I think he's out for 10 days with a hamstring injury, and they came up with an impressive win against Houston last night. Went on a 16-2 run. Alec Burks, Dante Exum stepped up. Um, it was kind of it caught me off guard when I saw Dante Exum playing, because it had been so while since I had seen him in the rotation. But
Yeah.
he really stepped up. And then Mitchell, he kind of had to morph into a facilitator, because Rubio was out, so he had to play point guard. He had 11 assists, and then Joe Ingles had, I believe, 27 points, 7 of 9 from the three, and to in terms of just the way Utah was kind of able to adjust after that tough first game. What were your thoughts on their win? Because Houston, I don't know if it was that maybe the lax, maybe they got caught into a lull and just feeling like they could cruise to another win, but they didn't shoot well, and it seemed like when they kind of got on a run, it was a little too late.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of I think Utah Jazz bench they did a phenomenal job, and I think they kind of xed out the pick and roll between James Harden and Capella. They kind of stopped that a little bit more. Like you said, the Houston Rockets are a team who lives and dies by the 3-point shot. And if they're not on, if Ariza's not shooting well, if PJ Tucker's not shooting well, then they're not going to do well on the court. I mean, they're not a big defensive team, but they rely on the 3-point shot. But I'll give all credit to the Utah Jazz that game. Donovan Mitchell stepped up. Rubio was out. 11 dimes. He had a nasty putback that's been played for hours on end today. I mean, okay, I'm tired of seeing it, but it was a great play. It was a great play for him. It was just nasty and ferocious, but he's the
Wait,
difference
which
maker.
play?
Donovan, when he put back the dunk,
Oh, yeah, yeah. I was about to ask you the Mitchell play, the Exum play. Which one? And I feel like it's kind of obvious that it's Mitchell, but which one stood out to you more?
the Mitchell one, it showed me
Yeah,
how his vert is really like
it's crazy.
he's quick, fast, because everybody had all, even Capella was right there, had an opportunity to snag that. And it was just
The
so like,
entire
it was
front
just,
court was there, and he just rose over.
yeah. And he looked at the sideline, he's just hanging with one arm. I was like, yeah, that's going to be on ESPN, Bleachers Report,
Yeah, everywhere. House of
everything.
Highlights.
Right. CBS Sports, everything you can think of. That was a highlight for the ages. But it's his play. He's a difference maker. And then everybody else following suit. Gobert playing good defense. Favors, I don't know. I never really was like sold on Derek Favors ever since he came into the
Really?
league. But yeah, I was not a big fan of Derek Favors. But the bench played well. Burks played well. Crowder played well. 15 points, 10 rebounds, shooting pretty good for the 3-point line.
Crowder has
But
been playing pretty well as of
yeah,
late.
yeah, he has. And I think he has a chip on his shoulder, which he should have a chip on his shoulder. But I think the one thing you have to take from what this game was, the Houston Rockets their shooting wasn't on fire. They like I said, I'll say this again, I'll say it forever. They live and die by the 3-point shot. And if they're not shooting well from the 3-point line, then it's kind of hard for them to be that team to beat.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of Joe Ingles and how he's been playing, and with Mitchell like just having to go 2 of 8 from three, but I think he scored 15 of Utah 16 points in the fourth quarter. Is there a certain player that you feel is like the X factor for them? Because Ingles, I mean, he's been the most efficient 3-pointer this year.
Yeah, and I think it's Ingles and Donovan Mitchell. They play a vital part for the offense and defense, mind you. I like both of those guys, but I will definitely have to say Donovan Mitchell's give them the spark that they need on the offense and on the defense side. I don't know, man. And then just anchored by Gobert, it's an ideal. The first game I thought was kind of off. I didn't expect him to lose. I thought it was going to be a good game, but I didn't expect him to lose because, like I keep saying, the Raptors are a 3-point shot. I'm still not big on Chris Paul. I'm gonna tell you that right here. I don't think he plays defense well. And his offensive play has been spotty as well in the playoffs. I'm not a big fan, but James Harden has been doing
You
MVP things
you have
since
voiced
day
this.
one.
You have voiced this many times.
Yeah, I thought I was convinced once, and I am sorry. I just went back and just watched some of the games and stuff. I didn't like
You
his
started
offensive
watching. You
presence.
started watching. What happened is you started watching. And you're like, no, I'm not convinced. I'm taking that back. Wellington wasn't right.
Yeah,
So this is what you did.
yeah. That's exactly what I did, man. I was like, I don't know. I don't know about that, Wellington. I don't know. His play is like mediocre to me. It's not, I don't know. It doesn't bring anything. He's so sloppy with the ball. Yeah, I know he passed the ball flashy, but he's so sloppy with it at the same time. You got to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. But if they don't shoot well, then they're going to be in a long night for a long night. So I think game three. I'm sorry, it'll be a little different. But if they don't catch fire fast, then it's going to be a slow game.
Yeah, in terms of how the series is going to be going forward, Utah, they have a great crowd, and I mean it kind of feels like it could go to 6. I still like Houston in this series. Do you have any thoughts going ahead in this series?
You think it goes in 6 for who?
I mean, for Houston,
For Houston, you think? It just depends. It depends on this game. To
game
be
3.
honest, yeah. If Utah can win in their home stadium, in their home court, then I think Houston's going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
I think they're the underdog. Not a lot of people expecting them to make it this far. And you give these two guys, Ingles and Donovan Mitchell, they step up well. They know how to, face adversity. Rubio's out, can't depend on him. Then you still have one of the defensive players of the year, the candidate, and Gobert anchoring. It's pretty scary. You just can't count them out. I don't think. If
No, I'm
anything, it
definitely
goes
not
to game
counting them
7.
out. I just think that it was one of those nights where Houston, it was a little bit of both. Like Utah was the contributions they got from Exum, Burks, Ingles, Mitchell, and so forth and so on were
Yeah,
great. But like you said, when Houston has a really bad shooting night, like they only hit 10 threes. That's kind of low for them.
really low.
Yeah, that's actually a low point for them. So, yeah, how game 3 goes, it will probably be a telltale sign. But with Rubio being out, do you look at that as a big loss for them because they were able to win game 2. What are your thoughts on the Rubio absence?
I don't think it's a big loss. Like I said, when you have Ingles and you have Donovan Mitchell, even Dante Exum coming off the bench, and Jay Crowder shooting well off the bench. If the guys on the bench play well, then they're okay. They're fine.
Yeah,
Rubio is not like a Steph Curry or a missing factor that will determine the game differently. No. But if they lost Donovan Mitchell or Ingles,
yeah, that would be like colossal.
yeah, it's just hand them the keys to the car and let them drive off in the distance. Like, that's what it seems like.
Yeah, you guys are
But
gonna drive off this cliff because you're not going anywhere regardless.
well, with Rubio being out, man, they can do they're fine. I believe they're fine, but they still
Yeah,
have to play well. Donovan Mitchell has to play well. Ingles have to play well. The bench has to come off and play well, and it starts with Jay Crowder, I believe, and it starts with Burks. So if those guys
yeah,
play well, then it will be a good series.
yeah. Transitioning to the NFL, Ben Roethlisberger this past week. I mean, he's currently 40, kind of on the back nine of his career in terms of years. But he told the Pittsburgh Post Gazette that he has plans on playing for 3 to 5 more years. If he can stay healthy and the offensive line is where it can be where it's at. They did select Mason Rudolph, who was the 76 overall pick in last week's draft, which that kind of stirs questions about, hey, like what are they thinking with this guy in terms of the future when Big Ben is gone. But what are your thoughts on the legitimacy that he can't actually play that long?
I think it's far fetched, man. I
Yeah.
think it is. I think it's to a point where, excuse me, he's in the ballpark when Peyton was. He doesn't have the same velocity and strength in his throws and the accuracy in his throws anymore. He threw,
Oh,
I
by the way,
know,
Ben is 36, not 40.
yeah. He'll if he plays that long, he'll be in his 40s or
Right.
41 a lot. Yeah, but still, it's to a point where he needs to evaluate. I guess he already evaluated. He wants to play 3-4 years. I mean, everybody should have a goal and what they want to do in mind in the latter of the next years. But to a standpoint of being a starting quarterback, they went 12-3. Of course, they have enough weapons to save him a little bit, but I see him playing for another year or two max, maybe, because he's throwing too many interceptions. We've seen him throw many interceptions back in 2006. He threw 23 interceptions. This year he threw 14. He had 3 in one game.
I used self checkout.
And
I was
then
just
it
all
comes to a
busy.
factor where
And then when I
do
rescanned
we
it,
really
no, I was
trust
putting it in
him
my,
with the
it
football?
rescanned it. That
So
actually,
I
Yeah,
know it's
that's kind of
kind
the
of
concern.
crazy. Yeah. But so they know they have to look for the future. And I think Mason Rudolph is a great candidate for the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But to be honest, I don't see him 3 to 4 more years. I see a year or two. Get Mason Rudolph under him. Let him learn a little bit. Let him learn from Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin has 2 to 3 years more as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But it's far fetched. It's too much.
How much do you think with Le'Veon Bell and his contract situation and Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, their how what goes on with them? How much do you think that impacts him? Because he did get off to a slow start last year, Big Ben, but he
Yeah.
averaged nearly 350 passing yards, 3 touchdowns per game over the last 70 games. How much do you think certain players like Le'Veon Bell's future also hinges on maybe his decision?
It takes a lift off his shoulders, to be honest. It takes a lift off the shoulders of any quarterback who have a good running back and weapons around him that, like I said, to save him from different things. Because when you have a speedy guy like Antonio Brown, most plays he's going to be open regardless. So all you got to do is get it to him, get him the ball. But so if he was on a team that didn't have many weapons like he does now and have a great running back and a patient running back at that, and Le'Veon Bell, then we'll see more of his mistakes, more of his flaws as a quarterback in his later years. I mean, he's always been a risk taker, hard to take down. He's always had the big arm, but we're seeing now, just like last year, everybody's saying, does Big Ben still have it? I don't know
Yeah,
if Big Ben ever had it for yeah, he won the Super Bowls, but still, it was to a point where he was averaging 12 interceptions a year. Yes, he has the yards and the touchdowns, but still, that's a lot of
It's a lot. Interceptions.
that's a lot of backlash on the back end, man. So 3 to 4 years is a push, a stretch like Michael Jordan in Space Jam, man. It is really stretching, really stretching. 3 to 4 years, no, yeah. I think that's why they drafted a quarterback. They know,
Do
and
you
he's
see
been
Mason
injured.
Rudolph kind of like the maybe the Jimmy G for the future?
I believe so. I definitely believe so. That's why they drafted him so high up. And then you look at Ben Roethlisberger injury history. Is he durable to make it to 30, 39, 40 years old like Tom Brady or Brett Favre, those guys who had success in their 40s? Can he make it that far? He's had a lot of injuries. He just had surgery like 2 years ago. So it's just like it's a lot of things that plays in factor in him playing 3 to 4 more years in the NFL because he takes a lot of hits. He takes,
Yeah.
I think he had
I mean,
over
he's not a
277
dual.
sacks.
Yeah, he's not like a dual threat quarterback who can, well, I mean, at times he can extend plays, but he is going to take a lot of punishment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more than any quarterback in the league. Dated back
Uh,
since he got into the league, to be honest.
yeah. Baker Mayfield's agent, Jack Mills, he was on I think a podcast this past week, and he was talking about how the Patriots were really close to trading up to him for if he was number two, and it, and Mayfield ended up being the number one overall pick, and it was definitely something where I felt as though just like we were talking about the Steelers, the Patriots are in a position where Brady, even though he's been extremely durable, eventually he's going to stop playing, and them the quarterback situation and how that's going to hold up has definitely been something that's been an interesting topic. But with that news and that report, I mean, if Baker was to and they had done that, or just the the whole situation surrounding it, what were your thoughts on it?
I thought it was gonna be way too much to get him uh in the second pick because they had what the 23rd, the 31st pick, and they had the 43rd, the 63rd pick, second round pick. It would have took way too much gamble and energy to get him at number two because you would have to trade up. You have to probably give away another first round pick for next year. Give up, maybe a player or two just to get one player that won't start on the back end. I thought it was a bad would have been a bad move for the Patriots because you're giving up all this for a guy, that's not going to start until maybe 2, 3. We don't know what Tom Brady's going to do 2, 3 years down the line. And you're investing so much into that. I think you can get a guy that I forgot who they drafted, to be honest. That's not in my notes. It should have been in my notes. That's a poor podcast guy. But but they got a guy I think they can groom enough to be just like Tom Brady. Because you look, Tom Brady was drafted in late round, wasn't going to be the guy, stood behind Bledsoe until Bledsoe got hurt, and then he started being the guy. Had a terrible draft profile. So you don't need a big time guy. I think Baker
Man, that
fit the
draft
scheme.
workout is so infamous now.
Yeah.
That draft
Yeah.
workout, you look at that Brady and this Brady, it's like, wow,
Totally
contrast.
different. Totally different. Talk about years in the making. Man, he lived up to his own hype because he didn't have hype coming in. He knew his worth though. I'll give Tom Brady that. He knew his worth. He told crap like I'm the best.
I am the best decision,
Yeah,
you
you'll
ever
ever
gonna make.
make. Yeah. So man, that I thought it's gonna be too much to get him anyways. You gotta give up your first two first rounds and your second rounds and probably have to get something else up. It was too much for a guy who's not gonna start right away. So I think everything worked out for the best. Yeah, it would have taken way too much to get him. Maybe you fit the scheme. He'd be a type of guy that Bill Belichick wanted, but too much to get him.
Yeah, it does seem like that. Do you really feel like he was the standard quarterback for that system? Because it seems like they usually draft just people who are just kind of like culture fits. Do you feel like he would have been a culture fit for them?
I think so. One, because he stayed off 4 years. They like
Yeah.
guys who stayed off 4 years to get the IQ of the game. He has great pocket presence. He doesn't run of the first alert. He steps in the pocket. He moves in the pocket well. He can extend plays. So I think he would have been a guy who was perfect for their scheme, who relies on their slot receivers more than the outside receivers to do the dirt. So I think he's the guy who can get. He's more accurate on short and mid range. He has the ability to throw down the field. But I think anybody can fit the scheme of what Belichick does, and I think he would have been a great fit for them. But it was just too much to get him, and I think they realized that. And then him coming off number one was kind of surprising to me. I did not
Yeah.
think he was going to go to the Browns.
You were caught off guard when I told you that. Well, you
Yeah,
were like,
really off
I
guard. I
didn't
was like,
expect that.
hold on, what? Huh. Come on, man. It's not April 1st. Come on, don't lie to me. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Come on, Melissa, don't lie to me. But yeah, it would have been too much. But I think he fit the scheme. I think they liked him a lot because he's the type of guy that doesn't make big mistakes. Tom Brady doesn't make big mistakes. Tom Brady is not an elusive guy, but he can get out the pocket when he wants to. Tom Brady has great pocket presence. He has decent accuracy. He has has the ability to throw the big ball. I think they look for similar characteristics, and the guy's teachable. Bill Belichick like guys who are teachable, who have the ear to yearn to learn. So I think he was that. That's why I feel like he would have fit so perfectly with it. And he's a winner. He loves to win. Tom Brady loves to win. They want a guy who resembles Tom Brady to a T. So when Tom Brady walks away from the game, they don't have to do too much to, put the glue on the paper or I don't have an analogy right now. I'm
Glue on the
sorry.
paper. Glue on the paper. We'll go with that. Boogie Collins.
Man, don't bring that up, man.
I'm
Oh
not.
my God, Boogie Collins. Wow,
Um,
man.
but our last topic for today is the kind of of the quarterbacks that three of the top quarterbacks that were drafted were Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Josh Allen. And we even talked about them, I think, last summer going in because I was pretty high on Darnold, but you were like, nah, give me Mayfield, give me Jackson. I'm good with those guys going into the college football season. But with all of those three guys and Darnold, his decision making and turning the ball over at times has been targeted. And Josh Rosen, he made the comments about like 9 mistakes have been made ahead of me, and he's gonna make every team remember that passed up on him. And then Josh Allen out of Wyoming, maybe not as highly regarded and noted as the other marquee quarterbacks. Who do you like going ahead? Because I know Darnold, the Jets pick, you really weren't a huge fan of that.
I wasn't, but I think it depends on. First, we have to look at before we look at the player. We have to look at the team that they're going to. You have the Arizona, you have the Bills, you have the Jets. You look at the different weapons that each team has. I think the player who will have the most success, whew, it's kind of hard to say, man. I think the guy who will have the most success would be Josh Allen, to be honest. Um, no, I'm sorry, not Josh Allen, Josh Rosen. Too many Joshes, man. Josh
Yeah,
Rosen.
way too many Joshes. Come on.
Way too many Joshes. But I think he has the weapons and the run game. I think he's in a better situation to win. All he has to do is pick up what Carson Palmer left off. Yeah, they have some defensive woes, but they have some good weapons on offense with the Browns. Uh, they're not brothers though, but they're close in relation. They have a key guy in J.J. Nelson. I think he's better, but he has to improve on a lot of things. A
Yeah.
lot of things. Like his durability is a concern. Oh man, too casual in a pocket setup. He doesn't have a pocket presence to me. I don't know, man. He has poor deep ball completion rate. He doesn't have the big arm. I thought he did, but looking back on his stuff, like he has a low deeper ball relation than he had in 2016. It's just different things, different mechanics. Needs better anticipation to open up, anticipation in the pocket, and anticipation to throw guys open. It's just little mechanics that each quarterback has to work on. But I think if you look at the situation they're going into, I think Josh Rosen, you got it right. Josh Rosen has the better opportunity to strive. Sam Darnold going into a situation with the Jets, they don't have many big weapons, and then the offensive line is kind of heavy. The run game is inconsistent. Matt Forte just retired. It's just different things in that, and you go all the way to Buffalo. It's
Yeah.
just it's just different things. So and to look at the team who was best suit fit and best ready to go and make it to the playoffs or make it, make 8, 9 game wins will be the Cardinals. And I think Josh Rosen can be that guy who he doesn't have to do much, but he just work on the little mechanics. He just he has to be more mobile. But it's just things you can learn in OTAs, rookie
Do you think
camp, mini camp.
he prefers to stay in the pocket more than being mobile? Because he really seems like that kind of seems to be his preference of play. Do you think it's more of preference or just him not adapting to it as much?
I think he likes to get out of the pocket more. He likes to extend plays, which gets him in trouble a lot. He plays too much hero ball. He doesn't. He doesn't. It's one thing to go for the deep ball or go for the deep ball threat, but you have a check down who get you 5 yards. He plays too much hero ball. He doesn't read to his progressions enough. He doesn't take the things the defense gives him. And you do that in NFL, you will get picked off. You'll be picked apart as soon as you step on the field. You look at Petterman threw 5 interceptions in his first start. So if you don't do the little things and go through the mechanics and take what the defense gives you, and not get heckled in the first line of pressure and trust
Right.
your offensive line, then you're not going to be able to succeed and be able to have that chemistry with your offensive line as well as your threat. Not your threats, but your offensive threats, to be honest. But he has.
And
If
some
you
of the
look at
plays in that Texas A&M game, I mean, it was a great comeback, but there were some that I mean, in this and in the league would have gotten picked off because they were kind of reckless plays. But he has the ability to make great plays on the run at times, but sometimes he can kind of get a little too eager.
Yeah, and his balls have so much air on them, it allows defenders to attack or have them giving them an opportunity to intercept the ball and knock the ball down. In the NFL, he does that. We have guys like Patrick Peters who run the 4.3 vertical 40 inches can go up and go get that ball. So it's just
Yeah.
different things like that. And his deep ball and medium rating is not. He doesn't have a big. That's the number one thing I took from what type of player he is. I thought he did. Maybe I was thinking of Josh Allen. Maybe it's just certain mechanics he has to fix. But I think he's in a better situation than any other quarterback. I think Sam Darnold's turnover rate has like muddied the water. He's still a good quarterback, but
Right.
too many turnovers, too many mistakes. He does the same thing, not taking what the defense takes, and he takes a lot of risks. He's not afraid of throwing into deep coverage or 2-man coverage or cover 2, whatever the case may be. But looking at the situation, I think Josh Rosen will have the better rookie season. And it's not an if. I think he will start.
Yeah, that's kind of who I would go with as well. Definitely. I mean, a lot of analysts have said, and just scouts in general, they feel like he was kind of the most pro ready, in some cases. So that'll definitely be interesting. Well, that wraps it up for today.
But before you do that, it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting. You haven't well, never mind because he probably won't start.
Go
It's
ahead.
not probably he won't start. Talking about Lamar Jackson, but it's okay.
Oh yeah. Well, what were your thoughts on him going to Baltimore?
No, I just wanted him to be involved in the conversation. Then I thought about him coming behind Joe Flacco, so he's not going to completely start.
Right.
All 3 of those guys have the opportunity. Well, not even no, that's Mason Rudolph. So all these guys has a chance to start. So Lamar doesn't. So whatever. I'm sorry. You get that.
No problem at all. well, this wraps up Full Scope on the Road. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. This has been Full Scope. See you later.